webinars. This is a practice of the Arabic alphabet with Sukoon. Objectives. We will practice the entire Arabic alphabet with Sukoon. We will do an English word comparison to help us identify the sounds of each alphabet. Again, with the English words, some of the Arabic letters will not have any comparison, but we'll try to get close to it. And the reason we do the English is just to help people differentiate certain alphabet sounds. So we'll start with the Hamza on the Alif with the Fatha, and that gives a sound of A, and the reason we've put it here is because all the other examples start with the A sound going on to the Sukoon. So you should have already covered the basic lesson on Sukoon, i.e. the theory behind what is Sukoon. In this lesson we're going to represent the Sukoon symbol with the round circle, but remember in the Uthmani script it will not be like that. The round circle represents something else. However, in computer script or in books you'll normally find that the Sukoon is a round circle. The color coding, the light blue letters are the qalqala letters, i.e. the echo letters that require you to finish the pronunciation with a separation of the parts of articulation, as we've discussed before. And the dark red letters are the tafkhim letters. If it's tafkhim and it's qalqala, we'll leave it in light blue, because for this lesson it's more important to emphasize the slight echo. And underneath each letter we've got the English equivalent as best as possible and a note, and you'll have to listen to my explanation because some of the English doesn't type exactly, but we'll explain why we've put them there. So the first one really is the letter Ba, and with the way we've written it here, i.e. the A sound before it and then Ba being sakin, it will be pronounced ab, ab. And there's a slight echo where the dry portions of your lips have to separate in order to complete the sound. And in English terms, the word cab is a good example. So the ab in the word cab is what you're aiming for. So it's ab. Slight echo, don't overemphasize the echo. Next one is at, and that's exactly the same as the English word at. Notice you have to let a little bit of air through the teeth at the end. That's fine. And then we have ath, ath, and now this is as in the English word athletics. We've got to be a bit careful here. There are some countries where they might pronounce this as as, and it's not a sa sound, it's a th sound, so it's ath as in the word athletic, so be careful on that one. The letter Jim is one of the echo letters, so with the when it's sakin, it will be aj, aj, slight echo there, and that will be equivalent to the sound of aj in the word badge. Now the next one doesn't really have an equivalent in English. It's the ha, which comes from the middle of the throat and requires you to forcefully push air to the front and out of the front of the mouth. So in this case it's going to be ah, ah. So make sure the air comes right out of the mouth at the end. So we call this the one, the forceful ha, i.e. the ha which is forcing air out of the mouth. So again it's ah. The next one is the letter kha, and it's one of the tafkhim letters, and you've got that slight grinding in the throat. So this will be pronounced as akh, akh. So again, you might have to overemphasize a little bit to practice. So akh, akh. There's no real equivalent in English. So here we've put acne as in the word ak, but you have to grind your throat and make it that thick. The only real equivalent you've got is in Scottish and some other languages. So in Scottish you've got the Loch Ness Monster, so they do a bit of grinding of the throat there. So that one is akh. The next one is the dal, and this is one of the echo letters again, so this will be ad, so just as in the English word ad. So nothing difficult about that, just to know it's got the qalqala with it. Now the next one, the dhal, is another one that a lot of people get confused with. A lot of countries, they pronounce this as a Z sound, so instead of saying dhal, they say zal, which is wrong. So in terms of the dhal with sakin, as in with sukoon, it will be adh, and a good English word for that is gather. So the adh in gather is a good way of remembering that. So adh. The next one is ra. Now this is tafkhim and tarqiq sometimes. Now if you've got a fatha on the letter before the ra sakin, then it will behave as tafkhim. So in this case we're going to say ar. So again, you've got to lift the back of the tongue a little bit, ar, and you don't say ar. Now a good one to remember for this is what you say all the time is ar-Rahman. So you don't say ar-Rahman, you say ar-Rahman. So that's thicker. You've got to lift up the back of the tongue to do the tafkhim. Now in English here we've put arrow, but you've got to add the thickness to it, as in the heaviness to it. So you do ar. Okay, so you've got to get that ar. Okay. Next one is the za, or some people call this zay, and this is the Z sound. Now with the sukoon, we practice it here, it will be pronounced as, and that's exactly the same as the English word as, but it's giving a slight Z sound, even though in English it's got an S, but it's a Z sound, as. The next one is the seen, and this will give the sound of as. Now this will be the same as in astronaut, as. So you've got to be careful between the as and the as. Okay, so as with the seen gives the sound as in astronaut. Then we come on to the sheen. That's quite simple. It's simply ash, as in the English word ashes. And the next two are a bit more difficult. They're the tafkhim letters. So we've put here the sod, and when you pronounce this, it's going to be as. So it's like the seen as in as, but you've got to make it the thick version. So say it the same way, but lift the back of the tongue and make the mouth a little bit more full. So it's as, and that's a thick version. So it's again, it's a bit like the astronaut, but making the tafkhim with it, as. And the next one is probably one of the most difficult, is the dod, because there's no equivalent in any language. And with the sukoon here, the practice, it will be ad. And again, it's like the ad with the dal, but it's a thick version equivalent. It's the tafkhim version of the dal. So it's ad. And this one is not an echo. So when you read it in the Quran, you won't need to echo it. The next two again are the tafkhim letters. So we have the ta, and with the sakin, this will behave as a qalqala letter, i.e. it's echo as well. So this will be at, and again in English the closest you've got is at, but this is a thick version